Arc Lightning is arguably one of Path of Exile's most iconic spells. It provides us with great clearing speed while mapping, and good single target damage while bossing. It's also great for carrying you throughout the start of any league with little to no investment. A week later, however, people tend to switch builds as spellcasters are generally squishy. However, this changes today, as we have managed to create the same hard-hitting 20 million damage arc build, but this time, it's tanky. I'm serious, half of all damage we take is taken from mana before life, effectively doubling our total life pool. We also got 5 permanent endurance charges on top of it, all that without spending any extra exalt. Also, our damage numbers here are consistent, being able to maintain them without using something like Bottled Faith or Righteous Fire. Now I know that some of you are looking at this video thinking that this is just another boring Archmage build. Trust me, it isn't. As usual, we begin with our Ascendancy. We are a Hierophant, mainly due to mana support. First we begin with Conviction of Power. This node is the best leveling Ascendancy in Path of Exile. Not only it increases both our maximum power and endurance charges count by 1, but it also gives us access to 4 of them all the time, basically allowing us to be tanky and invest into crit early on. Next we go for Divine Guidance. This node gives us Transfiguration of the Mind. Basically it allows modifiers to maximum mana to affect global damage at 30% of their values. This node also increases our maximum mana, which we use both offensively and defensively in this build. From here we go for Arcane Blessing. This node increases the effect of Arcane Surge on us by 50%. Now I have set this build in a way that we are always affected by a level 20 Arcane Surge buff, and that's without having it to be socketed in our main 6 link. This means that this node is basically 10% permanent damage boost alongside extra mana regen. Last but not least we have Illuminated Devotion. While less powerful than the previous node, the 0.5% spell life leech makes for a great source of life recovery. We also get 50% reduced effect of Chill, Shock, Brittle, Scorch, and Sap while affected by Arcane Surge, basically all the time. That combined with Pantheons, we become completely immune to some of them, mainly Chill and Shock. And that was it for our Ascendancy. Yes, you can get more damage by going with a different Ascendancy like Elementalist, but this one is perfect for when you are scaling mana. And scaling mana is arguably the easiest thing you can do in this game. And this becomes apparent with our passive tree. Here we focus on mana, life, spell crit chance and crit multi, lightning damage, and mana regen. We also take every single power charge node available for us to take on the passive tree. After that we expand into 2 large cluster jewel setups. They are here mainly to expand our socket arsenal. These add some powerful spell or lightning notables like Scintillating Idea, Thunderstruck, Widespread Destruction, Practiced Caster, and Sap Psych. Or really any other damage notable you like. For mastery choices, we got Chaining Non-Projectile Lightning Skills chains 1 additional time, which unironically only works with Arc right now. We also have increases and reductions to maximum mana also applies to Shock Effect at 30% of their value. This one alone is more than enough to allow you to inflict the highest possible shock effect on everything you touch. And yeah, that was it for our passive tree. Now let's talk about items. You might have noticed that we are stacking power charges in a mana build. Well, we are dual wielding 2 void batteries. This item is overall broken for any self-cast build as long as you are stacking power charges. There is no reason to use a rare wand in this game as this one eclipses all of them in terms of damage potential. Overall best in slot option for very little investment. Next we got Crown of the Inward Eye Unique Helm. This one is good for a variety of builds, but while not better than a well-crafted rare helm, it becomes so once it gets a powerful corruption, like +1 to maximum power charges. Although that corruption is quite expensive and that's partially my fault due to the fact that I have been shilling it in the past 5 leaks. Hence, you can use a cheap crafted helm like this if you are on a budget. Just combine the +1 maximum power charge Redeemer mod with 50% increased mana via an Awakener's Orb. Then lock the prefixes and reforge crit for crit multi. It will give you the same exact damage but slightly less life. Our next item is Cloak of Defiance. This unique chest gives us Mind Over Matter for free, which saves us some passive points by not having to path over it on the passive tree. Aside from it, the chest also provides us with 1% of our maximum mana regenerated every second, which is essential as GGG changed Arcane Surge a couple of leagues ago to no longer provide us with flat mana regen, which, by the way, was a very unnecessary change in my opinion. Anyway, next we have Essence Worm. This ring removes the reservation of any socketed gem, and since we utilize our mana defensively, we can't really afford to allocate it. Hence, we socket Wrath here and call it a day. Our second ring is any ring you can afford with +1 to maximum power charges. This can be either rare or unique. It all depends on how much you are willing to spend on this slot. Our next item is Adziri's Foible Unique Amulet. This one is best in slot option for any mana stacking build. It provides us with lots of mana alongside a huge regeneration boost. Make sure to anoint the Symbol of the Unyielding on your amulet for that extra boost to defense and damage. Next on the list we have a rare belt with increased mana recovery rate, life and mana, a good resistance roll, and increased lightning damage if possible. For our gloves, we got life, mana, resistances, and any damage mod you can add via Azling Bench or Veiled Chaos Orb. Make sure to utilize Eldritch currencies to add both chance to unnerve enemies on hit and lightning exposure once you are done crafting your gloves. Last but not least, we got a pair of boots with movement speed, life, mana, and the good dexterity roll. To keep things simple, you will have to get a tier 1 dexterity roll somewhere to be able to use most of your gems. It doesn't have to be on your boot specifically, but you will need to get it somewhere. And yeah, that was it for our items. Now let's talk about gems that goes inside of them. For our main 6 link we have level 21 Arc, Awakened Lightning Penetration, Power Charge on Crit, Awakened Spell Echo, Increased Critical Strike Support, and Increased Critical Damage. Feel free to use the non-awakened version of these gems if you are on a budget. Our next mandatory setup is a 4 link mana support. It contains Divergent Arcane Cloak, level 20 Divergent Arcane Surge, increased duration, and enhanced support. Make sure to assign Arcane Cloak on your left mouse button to enjoy a permanent uptime on a level 20 Arcane Surge buff. Our next gem setup is used for teleporting around. It contains Lightning Warp, less duration, faster casting, and Swift Affliction. Last but not least, we got an optional 3 link that you only use if your mana can sustain it. We got Divergent Righteous Fire, Enhanced Support, and Empower. And yeah, that was it for our gems. Now let's talk about jewels. For our Watcher's Eye, this time we decided to keep things simple and get a single modded Watchers. We only have 15% lightning penetration while affected by Wrath. Aside from that, we have a Militant Faith Timeless Jewel that mentions High Templar Dominus specifically. Place it in this specific socket to maximize its effect. Also make sure that it doesn't convert any nearby notable within its range. If it does, then you can just divine it until it doesn't. Anyway, this jewel will grant us Inner Conviction Keystone, which provides 3% more spell damage per power charge. We have 11 power charges in this build, which equals 1/3 damage boost. Next we got One Healthy Mind Unique Jewel. This one converts all nearby life nodes into twice as much mana. Place it in this specific socket to maximize its effect. Our last unique jewel is Clear Mind. This one is 60% increased spell damage and 30% increased mana regen while no mana is reserved. Only a handful of builds can utilize this jewel, and we happen to be one of them. Any remaining jewel socket we have left should be filled with a normal rare jewel like this one. We prioritize mana over life as it both contributes toward defense and increasing our damage with Arcane Cloak buff. We also got increased crit multi and spell damage if possible. Finally, for Bandit's Quest, we are going to help Alira as usual. As for Pantheons, we go for the Soul of the Brine King and the Soul of Garou Khan. And yeah, that was it for our tanky Arc Lightning build for this league. If you guys have enjoyed this video, then you know the drill. Like, comment, and maybe subscribe. My name is Phoenix and I will see you all in the next video.